Welcome to today's press briefing. With us today, Dr. Chong Shuk Kwan, Head Communicable Disease Branch CHP, and Dr. Lau Ka-hin, Chief Manager, Hospital Authority. Dr. Chong, please. Yesterday, for PCR positive, 332 cases, 52 from the HA, 56 from the lab of the CHP, and 244 from the private labs. And RAT self-declared cases and verified by PCR, the number stands at 342. The total stands at 674. Cumulatively, it stands at 1,204,211 cases. 73 cases are reported cases, 38 picked up at the airport, 26 arriving on June 8th by 11 flights, 12 by 9 flights on 12. 28 cases were picked up at the quarantine hotels. There are 7 cases at day 7, beyond day 7. There's one from the isolation center because the people accompanying them are confirmed positive. One tested positive upon departure from Hong Kong. The other cases have a high CT value. There are 2 that seem to be local cases because they have some activities in the community. We will be following up on these cases pending the genome sequencing analysis. For the care homes, there are 2 RCHDs that saw staff members confirming positive. There are 27 close contacts that have to be quarantined. For schools, there are 90 positive cases, 81 involving 81 schools, 68 students, 22 teaching staff members. For the 68 students, they're from 14 from kindergarten, 33 from primary, 19 secondary, and 2 special schools. 22 staff members from 2 kindergartens, 8 primary, and 12 secondary schools. For the 90 positive cases, there were 37 that tested positive this morning, 53 testing positive yesterday or earlier. 9 schools saw 2 or more cases within the past 7 days. There are 4 schools. Now, there are 2 cases from the same class. The number is not particularly high. However, we've asked the schools to undergo disinfection and deep cleansing for the other classmates that they tested negative. Fun Fo English Primary School, there are 2 more cases reported today, but they are from 4H and 2F that have been suspended. There are 17 cases from this school. There's a new school, Paul and Kok Lam Chan Primary School, 6A. There is a teacher testing positive last day at school, June 6th. There are 3 students from the same class, 6A, class 6A, that tested positive. Yesterday was the last day at school. There are 25 students in this particular class. We've advised that this class be suspended for a week. Death cases, there is 1 death case reported by the HA in the 5th wave. The total number is 9,099. Cumulatively, the number stands at 9177. Now, for the subvariants, today there is 1 more case of BA4 or BA5 carrying L452R, and the person is working as a part-time worker at a hotel, like Hang Tian Sing, and she had to undergo regular testing. She tested positive. The last day at work, June 7th. She's living in Dongchong Yattong Estate, Tek Yat House. On June 7th, she felt a little bit unwell. Basically, where she worked, she would be delivering supplies to the infected people. She would be kitted out with goggles and PPEs. And we will be ascertaining whether there are any other cases from this quarantine hotel to see whether there are similar genome. It is likely that she got infected from the workplace. On June 4th, she went to Dai Tao Ha seafood restaurant for dinner together with some friends. Now, this restaurant has to be subject to CTN. BA.2.12.1, there are a total of 112 imported cases. For local cases, there are some suspected local cases as well. There are 7 local suspected cases carrying L452Q. There are 3 cases that are residing in Kwun Tak Estate and Kwun Tak House on different floors and in units facing different directions. There were earlier cases that this has been subject to RTD, and there are 2 living in Pak Sing Kok, the fire service barrack quarters, and they have to do with the Island Garden, their relatives of those in the Island Garden. And there is a 76-year-old female who's residing in Gamei Fa Yun in Fo Tan. And there is a 16-year-old boy who is residing in Woming Estate, Wofai Court. And there is another one, a 25-year-old female who resides in Wan Chai, Donggai building. Now for the clusters link, there are 4 more cases, taking the number to 99 in total. On May 27th, there are 34 people visiting. May 28th, 58. There are 7 patrons who went there on both nights. Shuffles, 13 more cases, all patrons, taking the total to 104 patrons and 6 staff members who got infected. There are some individuals who have been to Iron Ferries as well as some shuffles or Iron Ferries and Link or Link and shuffles. The whole genome sequencing shows that Iron Ferries, shuffles, and Link, the genome sequencing results are pretty similar, and there were some transmissions among the patrons. Dr. Lau, please. There are 375 infected patients who are in hospital, 58 newly infected cases. For those who are in isolation facilities, 98 or 99 are in isolation ward, 7 are in second-tier isolation ward, 40 are in the North Lantau Hospital ICC. There are 37 newly infected cases. Yesterday, we have reported 2 patients who are in critical condition. They're newly reported cases, 2 in critical condition, 1 in serious condition. Of those who are in hospital, 13 are in critical condition, 6 in serious condition. 3 critical patients are in the ICUs. Yesterday, we have reported one 89-year-old male who passed away on June the 6th. He's not from a care home. He's got inoculated with 3 doses. this person is suffering from defibrillation problem or fibrillation problem. He passed out at home, and he was found out by the neighbor, and he was sent to the A&E at Truman Hospital. Upon arrival, he became unconscious. He was given a scan, and there were some arteries that were blocked by some blood clot, and there was some ischemic problems, and he was taken into the ICU. In the A&E, as was given a rapid test, he tested negative.
And then we carried out a screening and found that his PCR test got positive result. CT value is 40. And then we carry out various tests on him, and the results were either uncertain or negative. So we believe that the patient might have been infected earlier, and there is some residual virus in his body. And in the evening, about 11 p.m. on the 7th, he passed away, and we believe that his passing away was not directly related with the COVID-19. So mainly it's because of some artery being blocked in the brain, being blocked and resulting in his death. In the past day, 48 patients have recovered. Among them, 40 have been discharged. Under the fifth wave, so far, we've got 50,695 patients who've recovered. Among them, 50,311 patients have been discharged. Since 2020, Hong Kong has 63,750 patients who have recovered, and 62,691 have been discharged. One patient was discovered to have been infected during screening at hospital, and one of his fellow patients in the same ward was classified as close contact. So far, 23,615 patients have been infected. Of them, 23,498 staff have reported back to their duty. So that's the end of our briefing. Now is the time for questions. This lady over here. I'm from Now TV. There are more than 600 cases today. How many of them were actually RAT cases that had not been reviewed? What are the reasons for this rapid increase? And there are also some students infected who were in the same class. Can you tell me the name of the schools? And also, how many cases are there now of locally infected and imported cases? And also, what is the variant concerned? And next Monday, the vaccine pass will be extended to more premises. Are you worried that in extending the vaccine pass to medical facilities could cause delay in people getting treatment? Would you consider suspending the policy or to send staff to collect specimens from patients at their home? The 674 cases, among them 288 were cases that had never been reported. That means I had never announced here. There are a small number which had been announced before but had just tested positive in PCR test. Names of schools, I will not disclose them yet because there isn't an outbreak, so we're still monitoring the situation. Reinfection, we have noticed that there's one or two cases of that. One involves a 29-year-old man. July 2021, he got 2 shots of BioNTech. On February 28, his PCR result had a CT of 1718. On May 29, that is 3 months later, his CT value is 2728, and we carried out a genome sequencing, and we found that he is BA.2.2 variant. But there's a difference of 6 SMP with the other case of reinfection. So that's one confirmed case of reinfection. End of February, he had an RAT and the negative result was found. And the other 6 On May 30, he carried out a PCR. The CT was 2022. That is 3 months, after a period of 3 months. And for this lady who's 26-year-old, she had not got any vaccination, and she was infected in February. And for this case as well, she was related to a cluster, and that cluster was affected by the variant BA 2.2, so that her case could be one of reinfection. We know that about 1.2 million people were infected, so these 1 or 2 cases of reinfection is rare. On June 13, the vaccine pass would be extended to a number of medical premises, and the hospital authority would also require it to be shown in our specialist outpatient clinics, because we want to create a actually anti-pandemic barrier. People going for follow-up consultation at the specialist clinics tend to be elderly people, or with chronic diseases, or people with weak immunity. If we can set up a good barrier at the clinics, then that could reduce the chance of infection or transmission of the virus. And so once people are identified early, then the chances of having critical disease or death would be lower. For people who cannot get vaccination, they could apply for exemption and then go to the they can be eligible for going to the clinic. Follow-up consultation, medical consultation, is a scheduled appointment, because people know when they're supposed to go for the follow-up appointment. If for some reasons they cannot get vaccinated, then they can still go for a PCR test 48 hours in advance to be eligible. From a medical perspective, patients' medical needs are a priority. So if there are any difficulties in getting the help they need, and patients can seek help from our staff, we would look at the actual situation and be flexible and provide practical help to them. Next question. This lady over here at the back. From cable. Yesterday, there was a suspected BA4 or BA5 cases. Have there been any newly related cases? And you said that the transmission level is high. Are you worried that there could be a risk of transmission within the community? Can you assess if BA4 or BA5 variants are spread to the community? Would it actually be even more contagious than BA.2, 12.1? Could there be a major outbreak? And also yesterday, you mentioned about the Yunnan restaurant in Taikushing. The 2 people who were the patrons who were infected, did they sit next to each other and should collect any environmental samples from the restaurant? What is the ventilation there like? And also, today's case of a 6A class in Leming Chan School, when was the teacher confirmed? Was he or she the source of an infection? There was a suspected BA.4 case, and it was an imported case, and he stayed in the community for some time, but so far we haven't seen any related cases. And today's case involved one who worked in a quarantine hotel, so the person might be related to an imported case. So now we need to find out more if there are any related cases. We will not rule out the chance that like the previous BA 2.1, 2.1, that these variants could be contagious, and there's a chance that they could be spreading in the community. But so far, we have noted from overseas reports that these variants may be even more contagious, but there's no mention of whether they will cause more deaths or severe conditions. But no matter what subvariant or variant we are talking about, they are still part of COVID. So getting 2 shots would be effective in preventing severe conditions and deaths.
Well, for the Ashima Yunnan restaurant, we don't have any new cases today. Probably there was a case of human-to-human transmission. For the school, we are not sure about the source, but they are related. The teacher last day at school on June 6th. For the 3 kids, last day at school June 8th. There are cases in the community. It would be hard for us to say what it was transmitted from the teacher to the students, but we would regard that as transmission in the classroom, and the class has to be suspended for a week. Next, please. At the front, please. Doctors, your organization, Mingpao Daily. BA.4 or BA.5 is this the second case involving the people, the inbound people testing with this. You said that it is more transmissible. How do you anticipate the development of this subvariant? How many cases of BA.4 or BA.5 in Hong Kong? How many imported, and how many locally acquired, and how many in the community? And BA.2, 0.12, 0.1. You mentioned the number, an additional 8 cases, the local cases. Is the number 8 or 7 for cases today? And also, how many cases of BA.2, 0.12, 0.1 in Hong Kong so far, and how many imported, and how many suspected local cases? And also reinfection. Dr. Chuang, you mentioned a moment ago that the number is pretty small, but as more and more people have recovered after 3 months, do you think that there are more cases of reinfection going forward? Are there any measures, obviously, to tackle this particular problem? Right, perhaps we address these 3 questions first. BA.2, 0.12, 0.1, there are 112 imported cases. Local cases, as of yesterday, the number stood at 62. BA.4 imported cases, number stands at 23. Local cases, we don't have any BA.4. BA.5, the number stands at 35 for imported cases. There is a staff member who works on the airport apron, and there is a suspected case today. I'm not sure whether it is BA.4 or BA.5, and that's from the hotel. We cannot predict the risk arising from the spread of BA.4 or BA.5, but from overseas experience, and they are more transmissible, although we haven't seen any high cases of death or serious cases. As time rolls by, it is likely that there may be reinfection. Now, from between the first and the fourth waves, for those who have been infected, there are 900 cases who got reinfected in the 5th wave. Now, in the first 4 waves, there were alpha, delta. In the 5th wave, the predominant one is Omicron. The speaker not speaking through. The number is 8. I counted 1 less. Gentleman at the back, please. AM 730. You mentioned a 16-year-old boy suffering from BA.2, 0.12, 0.1. What school does he attend? Now, together with the Taiping estate case, or has this strain found its way into schools? Are the school outbreaks related to this subvariant? You mentioned in the 5th wave, for those who are reinfected, have they got any travel record? BA.5, BA.4 and 5. What is the chances of reinfection? Now, there are cases who were infected overseas. Do they have to let you know that they got infected overseas of this? And also the hotel staff, how many floors did she serve, and are there any positive cases in the particular hotel? What the student is from Tonghua Group Hospital, Lo Yun Choi College. There are no cases in the past fortnight, so we don't have any related cases. Reinfection. They don't have any travel record. We looked at the overseas literature, and for BA.4, BA.5, they're not particularly different from the other Omicron subvariant, although we would pay particular attention to the WHO information. The lady works at the hotel on a part-time basis, the Sky City Hotel. She served the 7th floor. Now, sometimes the customers cannot get into the hotel room. She would handle the card for them. She doesn't work every single day, and we will have to ascertain whether there are any other cases. Next, please. No further question? That's it for today. Thank you all very much.